No, it's more usable for computers.
Oh,
computers can take the hex code and do stuff with it, whereas the number, if you give it the number, it changes it into hex code and then turns that into bits. And I went too far, didn't I? All right, I'll shut up about that.
I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Welcome to today's episode. I have a very special guest, Abraham, my husband. He said that if I got 100 subscribers on YouTube and 500 followers on Instagram, that I could teach him how to quilt. Ah! Mm-hmm. Are you so excited? Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be fun to have him as a guest today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, my first question for you is, I want to know, like, what was going through your head when I told you that my mom and I wanted to buy a long arm machine and start a business?
I think I was really excited.
Yeah? Why? Come on.
I was really excited because, well, you know I love business stuff. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I don't necessarily like doing the business stuff. I just like creating businesses. So far that's what I seem to enjoy more than the actual work itself. I'd rather build up the business and then have someone else do the work. And so this was kind of that opportunity where I could help you guys start the business, get that rolling, and then you guys would do, the hard stuff.
Yeah, quilting.
Yeah, so I was kind of excited, and also it felt like your mom was really interested in making a good go of it. Mm-hmm. So that was exciting because, there's a person that maybe doesn't know how business worked exactly. And so through this process, I think she's learned quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. So I think, excited, I guess, is what I was.
Yeah. You weren't scared to, let me have a business?
No.
That's good.
I wasn't scared, just because I was part of it. So I knew, I could keep you guys from going off the rails. But
that's true.
I haven't had to really do anything other than, I do the accounting, so I think that's that's the only area where I think you guys might have had a hell of a time. Mm-hmm. And so I've had a hell of a time, and I kind of know what I'm doing. So
yeah,
but it's been really exciting to watch, you guys grow in the business context, and then doing it with something you love to do is, who wouldn't want that for their lives, really? It seems like everybody would want that, but
yeah, it can be hard to turn your hobby into a business, because I think sometimes it can kill the joy of it, of doing it just because you want to do it instead of doing it because you now have to do it. Yeah. But
I heard advice from this guy once on, I don't remember what podcast it was, I listened to too many, but he was saying that he's my advice to anybody new starting up a business is don't do something you love, because you aren't going to love it after a while. Yeah. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that there might be some truth to that, so you have to be aware of that. Like you and your mom, I think you guys are aware of it, so you'll do as much as you can for a day without blowing your mind out, right?
Yeah.
I think you guys are handling that difficulty fairly well, at least from what I can tell.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, and I think, it's about time boundaries and also knowing ourselves enough to know when we need a break, and also still carving out time to quilt for ourselves, make the things that we want to make for ourselves.
And that's really important, right? To do the fun part of what was a hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it kind of a hobby.
Yeah. So before I started quilting, did you know anything about quilting, or was it just...
The only thing I knew about quilting was that, well, my idea was that it was old people that did them, that made them.
Yeah.
And the ones I had seen were at, I don't know, somebody's house, and it was all a beat up, brown, tattered looking thing. And I didn't really think anything of it. So I guess, when you came to me about I'm going to make quilts, that's the vision I had. But then I saw some of your quilts, and I was like, oh wow, those look really good.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything to answer your question. I didn't jack zero.
Jack zero. So then, how are you feeling about learning how to quilt? Going from knowing nothing, seeing me do it, but not really knowing.
How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
Sick to my stomach.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think, I got a lot of stuff going on. So there's a lot of time constraints that I have.
Yeah.
And so that kind of worries me a little bit. Like, oh man, how am I going to do this and all the other things that I'm working on? But I think we've talked about it. Like, if we carve out a little bit of time every week, a couple hours, and then I come and we just work on it. And it might take a couple months or however long, but we'll get it done.
Yeah.
And we'll film the whole process. And that filming anything makes it take 3 times as long.
Yeah.
So, just patience and like going at it. I think as long as I keep that in my mind, I'm not too overwhelmed by the idea. But,
yeah.
But
yeah. Well, and I think it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I think it's, if you take it step by step and little by little, it'll get done. It doesn't have to get rushed.
Yeah, I don't think it does. We've been talking too about like the patterns and stuff that I could use. And I don't know, I go back and forth. Like you said, there's easy patterns to make it easy to learn. But, the math and computer science background I have makes me want to make some kind of intricate, like, crazy quilt looking pattern.
Yeah.
So we can make the sacred geometry one? Something like that?
Yeah, there's lots of...
I don't know how that's going to work out.
Well...
There's lots of them.
Here's the thing. If you want to go difficult, like there are a lot of really cool patterns that have a lot of...
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do we have to use someone else's created pattern? Or
No.
can
we make our own?
Is it too hard to make our own? To start, like a starting one, maybe.
Starting, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of... But here's the thing is you have the analytical math design kind of background in that, so like, and you've made lots of like plans and drawings to make woodwork stuff, so like, I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't, it just might not be a very happy adventure into quilting, just learning the steps and learning the process before you venture into something more difficult, because you need those skills of like sewing straight seams and keeping a consistent seam allowance and like knowing how to put different pieces together and that kind of thing, and how fabric works together. But I mean, yeah. Okay. The only thing that worries me is sewing any kind of curves.
Why?
Well, you have to cut the curve, and usually you cut those by hand because with a rotary cutter it's too easy to like...
When you say by hand, you mean...
Like with scissors.
Oh.
Cut the curve with
Seems
scissors.
easier.
Yeah, but... I don't know. Anyway, and then whatever you're sewing it to... So, a curve fits on a curve, but then when you flip the one wrong sides together, then they look like this. So you have to take the piece that you're sewing on top of the other curve, and you have to like stretch it and pin it all the way around, but it's like opposite, so it's really weird.
It's just wonky and hard to work with.
It's just an odd task to accomplish.
Okay. Well, we won't do that first then. We'll stick with
wouldn't.
some straight lines.
It took me 4 years of quilting to even attempt one quilt that had
But
two
you know
curves
me,
in
I'm
it.
not scared of nothing.
Yeah, true. I'm scared of it more than you should be scared of it. But
Probably just because I don't know.
Because you don't know, and I'm not super great at... I'm not confident in my skills of sewing curves, so to help you do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm fair.
But it can be done, it's just...
Of course, I've seen lots of that.
Obviously, but... Yeah.
I think if I were to get into it, I mean, I'd have to know how to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Because the things I'd like to make are going to be pretty weird.
Yeah, that's true. It's not hard. You just have to be meticulous with your lining up your pieces and making sure to stretch it all along the curve and pinning it really well.
Okay.
And just going slow, like sewing it slowly so that you're not going wonky. But anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I think...
Have you ever seen... Oh, what is that guy? He's on YouTube. I can't remember the name of him. It's not Mindscape. That's another dude. Anyway, this guy, he talks about physics stuff and math stuff. And there's this one pattern that he talks about where there's this pattern that you put I think they're little L shapes or something like that. But when you put them together, anywhere in the whole process, it doesn't repeat. No part of the pattern repeats, but it does it through the whole thing. So
what?
You can make it so that it actually squares off on all the ends. But all of it will be completely different patterns all throughout. You wouldn't see anything that's the same sort of the way that they're fitting together. I don't remember exactly what the shape was. I don't think it's an L, but it was something like that. So that sounds really cool, and I'd love to do something like that.
I'm just thinking about what that would mean to piece it together. Would you have to just do it in rows?
No, I honestly I don't know. We'll have to. I have to learn a lot before I would try something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
cool.
That's another idea that kind of popped in my head.
Yeah. There's some really cool geometric, just different patterns out there that are modernized and pull in some really cool things, curves and straight lines and angles, and that I think there's a lot of emphasis on fast, easy makes for newer quilters right now. Right,
which is where I should stay. I should stay in that lane.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying those are kind of the more prevalent patterns that I see out there. But I know there's some that exist that incorporate what you're saying, the sacred geometry, the more mathematical concepts that I think would be fun for you.
Yeah, it would be. That part I would like a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because, that at least helps me know how to, help you look for a pattern and what we might focus on making with you with your first quilt.
That's
cool. That's exciting. And you could use your, nerdy math stuff to make your own patterns.
Maybe. If I like it enough. Yeah. I think you said you can charge for patterns, right?
Yeah.
Where do you find patterns?
Well, you can find them in quilt shops. You can find them. I find a lot of the patterns that I like through pattern designers that I follow on Instagram. My friends and I have collected a lot of patterns, and we keep them in a Dropbox, the PDFs, and so we have access to a lot of patterns. But
did you say this in your pattern video?
I sure did.
Oh, maybe when I edited, I should have listened.
You probably should have. That's the fun part. That's the funny part. Sometimes you edit my videos and then you're like, you should mention this. I'm like, I did 28 times in that very video. You just edited it and you're like, oh. It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
Anyway, what part about it stresses you out the most? The time or?
Well, there's two things. One, it is I have other things I'm trying to get done.
Yeah.
So it's going to get in the way. But, we can carve out time. It doesn't have to happen, super fast. If maybe once or twice a week I come over and we spend a couple hours and you show me and then I start working on that thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to take our time out. I kind of need us to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm not that worried about that. And then but the other thing that does kind of worry me, you and I have worked close side by side on other things. And sometimes we have a little difficulty. We'll kind of get a little frustrated with each other about something, and I think we do well to step back and go, okay, let's take a second.
Yeah.
But that kind of I don't want to get too much in your business, what you're doing, and I don't. Yeah. So I just don't want us to find ourselves getting frustrated about the process. I want it to be fun, but I also know sometimes if I feel really stupid, I I might say something mean and be like, damn it, I'm really just pissed at myself, not her, but whatever. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's really the biggest thing that worries me is like, let's not get frustrated with each other. I know we'll be fine as a couple.
Well, yeah. But I think that's the great thing too is like, you don't have to just like bust out a quilt super fast. You can take time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if we do work at it in smaller chunks that,
and we'd schedule it out.
Right.
Like we're going to say, I don't know what days it'll be. Maybe Mondays I come after noon or something.
Yeah.
Spend the last half of the workday doing that or something.
Yeah. And I think in smaller chunks it'll be so much easier for you to digest everything because I won't be trying to like we're gonna do start to finish, teach you how to quilt, get your quilt top finished. Like I think that was the mistake I made on my first quilt is that it was like start to finish all in one day.
Oh.
Like we started early on in the day. I had to learn how to cut fabric and be cutting my pieces for my quilt top and piece my quilt top and like it was just too much for one like a 12-hour period. So I think if I learned anything, breaking it down into chunks while you're learning is going to be so much better.
Okay.
And so I think it'll leave less room for us to be frustrated with each other because we won't be trying to force so much into one situation or one setting. So
good plan.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I'm like, oh, we both have a really high tendency to feel stupid, and so we get reactionary towards each other, but it's like not each other's faults. Like, like, this could be a hot mess.
Yeah.
But also, I think if we're smart about it.
Well, we've had lots of practice at frustrating each other that way. So,
yeah.
so we can recognize when it comes up, I hope.
Yeah, I think so. But what's the part that you're excited about? None of it?
No, I'm not saying that.
Spending time with me?
Well, we do a lot of that.
I know.
I don't know that I can say. I don't know, just maybe coming into your world a little bit more and kind of understanding what that feels like and looks like day to day. It might, Yeah. That's kind of nice. I like that idea. The other thing I can see myself getting excited about is the patterns. Like if I can create, if I get into it and I like it, I can create some really interesting sort of mathematical based things.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen any of in any of the places. I'm sure it's out there. I know it does exist. I'm just saying any of the like quilt shows and stuff we've been to, I haven't seen any like mathematically done. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do.
Like the functions and having,
I've seen some around on the internet, on the interwebs. They're out there. I just don't think they're as prevalent because they're not super easy. And I think a lot of people are going for like easy, fast makes, which I'm guilty of.
And the other thing I think I did gather from your fabrics video, I think it was fabric, that when you pick the patterns that are like bigger blocks, you can really showcase the fabrics in there, so you can see the actual details of the fabrics.
Yeah.
And some of those functions might have like smaller strips, and you wouldn't be able to see whatever's behind the fabric.
Well, those would be fun to do with like different solids and like, or even like tone on tone, because like the background of this quilt behind us is white on white, so it's like white polka dots on white fabric, and so like tone on tone can give it some dimension without, you don't have to care about the fabric as much because it's gonna just give it a little bit of texture instead of trying to force looking at what's on the fabric.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that would be a fun use of solids. There's so many great solid colors out there. Like,
we'll see.
Ugh, anyway.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm very excited to teach you quilting. But again.
But clearly.
But also, I am not, like I said, I'm not holding expectation that you're going to love it or that you're going to want to do it again. But I agree with you. I think the part you could get excited about or get into is the designing of patterns if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it is a mathematical process. You have to think through the measurements and you have to know, make room for the seam allowances and working on a grid, but also being.
Do you ever use a program to create a pattern, or do you just?
I just sketch it out on a grid on grid paper.
Could you use a program like SketchUp?
Yeah, there's like pattern designers.
Or is there special pattern design software?
I think there is.
Huh.
But I've also, some of the ones we've talked to, they use like Adobe stuff.
Oh, wow.
Maybe just to mock up their patterns. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway.
That's a whole bigger realm, I'm guessing.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Right on.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, really, you just agreed to do this as like an incentive to get... Well, first of all, we're going to have a giveaway on the Instagram because we got to 500 followers. And then you said if I could get 100 YouTube subscribers as well, that you would let me teach you how to quilt, because you were like trying to get me to push the podcast and like push the business and stuff. And so we got here, and we're like, did you think I was gonna do it this quickly, or were you hoping?
Was it quickly?
I think it was only like 2 months from the time that you said.
Oh.
And then, because I only had.
We were getting close, so yeah, I kind of thought that we would.
Yeah.
But also, yeah. It was also a way for me to push learning down the road at least a month or two. Because I think you were kind of wanting me to do it before. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, she's not going to give up on this, so I might as well make this worth it somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And hopefully it's worth it in a way bigger way. But I figured, why not? Let's try this.
Yeah. And we're going to document the process, right?
Yeah, we're going to film it. So it could be a real shit show. We'll see.
Hot Mess Express.
It probably won't be.
No, I think it'll be fine. And we have so much fun making videos together. Like, I think it'll be a fun thing. Mm-hmm. Just fun content for us to put together and put out there on the interwebs.
Hopefully.
On the line.
It's on the line.
It's on the line.
Yeah, Instagram. No.
No, so you take a picture and then you put it online. On the line. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. So besides being my producer / editor / videographer, what other projects do you do? Or like what kind of stuff do you do outside of worky stuff? Like what's your hobbies?
What's my hobbies?
Yeah. Mine's quilting. So what's
That's your business too.
Well, it's my business that you really encouraged me to turn into a business. My hobby.
So just stuff that I do? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like what kind of hobbies do you do? Like
I don't really do hobbies.
You do though.
I know like somebody would call them hobbies, but I don't think of them that way.
Okay, what do you do then? I call them hobbies.
I guess, I don't know. Like mountain biking, is that a hobby or is that something, like that's exercise. I go out there to exercise. Hiking, sure. I do a lot of hiking. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of running in the hills, running on the street, running in the park, running from the bank when I robbed it. No, I'm just kidding. What else do I do? I do other editing YouTube work. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm trying to build up a new one.
Yeah.
What else do I do? I play the bass guitar. Mm-hmm. I just recently got back into it, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to do it to try to be in a band like I did when I was in my 20s, but I'm going to enjoy playing it. So.
Yeah.
And then I guess just like I spend a lot of time listening to stuff about spirituality,
mental health.
Mm-hmm. I also spend a lot of time learning about real estate and investments, cryptocurrency. Like it's just a crazy amount of things that I like to fill my head with in a day. So I guess if there was like an overall hobby, it's just like I just like to fill my head with knowledge. I just love it. Yeah. I forget a lot too because I'm constantly pouring stuff in, and obviously stuff seeps out. But yeah, that's kind of does that work?
I just, for our listeners, because you're always behind the camera, so get them to know you a little bit better, because they know me.
Yeah.
My crazy self.
I do. Oh, I also do a little bit of amateur photography. Amateur photography, but like, that hasn't been like a priority hobby though.
Right. Just for funsies every once in a while.
Yeah. I throw them up on my Instagram or...
You have some fun photos in there.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
I like it too. I like composition. That's my favorite part of photography. And I think it would be it would kind of lend nicely to patterns.
Yeah.
Of where does your eye go when you're looking at a picture? The same, I'm guessing, if you're displaying a quilt, you want to guide somebody's eye to certain points.
Mm-hmm. And that's where fabric choice comes in, and like placement, because if you put the wrong fabrics in the wrong places, it creates a completely different quilt. Versus
almost chaotic if you're not careful.
If you're not careful, it can be super hectic. So really focusing, on where you want people to look.
You ever seen a Van Gogh quilt?
If I have, it might have been like a collage type quilt instead of pieced.
Pieced with fabric?
It's still fabric, but it's collaged with fabric instead of pieced like in blocks.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, but I don't know that I've seen it specifically Van Gogh.
It just ran into my head real quick.
Because you love Starry, Starry Night.
I love Van Gogh.
Yeah.
I was in Amsterdam and I went to the Van Gogh Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And his paintings, you can see the pictures and they look fine.
Sure.
But in real life, they're IRL. There's he used so much texture in the paint that it comes off of the canvas, and those fields of there's ones that he has where they're hay fields.
Oh yeah.
The pieces come off of the canvas, and so you're looking at it and it brings you into it, immerses you into it. It's very very beautiful to see in person.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance, go to Amsterdam and go to the Van Gogh Museum. You will not be disappointed.
That's how I felt about the Picasso stuff when I was in Madrid. Saw Picassos.
Nice.
I cried.
You cried?
I cried.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So.
Or not nice. Were you
sad?
Nice.
Or no, I was just so in awe.
Okay.
Because you see pictures. You see pictures
You're
of the prints.
Picasso.
No.
No, okay.
No, I was just moved by how some of his paintings that you just see pictures of, they're enormous. Mm-hmm. And so just having it be so huge and just in your face, and seeing the textures and the colors and just everything that goes into it.
I've never seen a Picasso.
When we go to Spain.
We'll go to Spain. Do they have them in Barcelona?
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. We're going to Barcelona. And little sneak preview of this, we're going to hit a few quilt shops. We found there's
15?
15?
10 or 15?
In Barcelona alone.
Yeah.
So we're going to go hit them and see if we can even interview some people. That'd be really cool.
It'll be
talk
tricky.
to the Spanish quilting community.
Hopefully they speak English, because our Spanish isn't so good.
Yeah, we've been working at it, but good.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm going to say this a lot. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Lo siento. Okay.
Anywho, I'm just excited to see what you do with quilting, honestly.
Okay.
And I think it would be so fun if you design patterns and then I make them.
Ooh, I might be able to get behind that idea.
That would be so fun, I think.
Can't you sell patterns?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so if I like it, that's probably where
You'll monetize your hobby.
I'll enter steroid.
Per the use.
Until I've overdone it and then quit everything.
Run to the mountains. Yeah?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to start with just learning a quilt first, okay?
Yeah, that's a good place.
Put stuff on me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited. I'm excited.
She's excited.
I'm excited to shop for fabric with you. I'm excited to pick a pattern with you. I'm excited to show you how to use a sewing machine. It's gonna be great because it's gonna coincide with the beginner series.
Do you know how many times I've used a sewing machine?
0?
Yes. So I guess you knew.
I was just guessing. I thought maybe once, but
the closest I've ever come is my stepmother when I was in high school.
Yeah.
She handed me this little tiny sewing kit.
Oh.
And she said, "I'm tired of sewing your buttons that you keep popping off.
Oh.
Here's the sewing kit. I'm going to show you how to do it." So she showed me how to do it. And so I kind of knew how to do it for maybe a few months, and then I never did it again.
Because you never had to, or because...
I just said, screw it. I'm not going to wear buy another shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever. I just didn't care that much. But that's the closest I've come to sewing. And I don't remember any of it. I know there's holes in the buttons that the things go through. Yeah, there's little holes, and they go in there. And there's knots and tying stuff so that it doesn't slip out, but I don't know what that looks like.
It's pretty easy.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
How many knots are there?
I don't know.
For sewing. Like, how many do you have to know? Do you even know the names of them?
I don't know the names of them. I hear people, they say use a quilter's knot, but it's really, you take a needle and you have thread, and you have your thread and you put the tail, like, you match it with the needle and you wrap it around, and then you switch hands, hold the needle, and you pull the coiled thread down the end of the thread, and then it knots it at the bottom. But I don't do that. I just tie little knots in the end.
Oh.
And then there's, I think it's called a French knot. No, I don't know what it's called, but when you're finishing, like, binding, you want to do it because it's invisible, but you, like, you put it through the fabric and then keep doing the same spot.
I can't visualize what you're saying.
Exactly. It's crazy. I just have to show you.
But you can tell that my mind is super analytical with these things, because I'm like, okay, if I can categorize all the different knots, then I'll know how to do them, and then I can apply them when I'm supposed to. But, but you're like, I don't know, I just do them.
Well, I think that's the thing too, is like, there's formal names for things, but like, because so many people are putting out like tutorials and sewing content, and I'm just like learning to do stuff by watching people, I don't necessarily know the formal names for things. So I might be doing something and I don't know what it's called, but then I see it online like, oh, this is called blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, okay, who knew? I've been doing that this whole time. So and I might hear
I guess that's fair
in conversation, but then I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, and then I go look it up later because I'm like, I don't know what that was, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay.
So
that's
I don't know.
That's fair.
Oh yeah. How many knots do you know?
I know the one to tie your shoe. I've learned other knots throughout the years, but because I didn't use them for anything, I don't remember them anymore.
Yeah.
There are a bunch that I've learned over the years.
I know how to make a slip knot because of crochet.
Yeah. I know. I used to know that one time. I have no idea how to do it.
It's easy. I'll show you.
What's the shoe knot? What is that? Is that a slip knot?
Must be.
Must be.
I never even thought about it like that.
Because you said you know the slip knot.
Well, because I do it for crochet. That's how you
But
start.
is it the same then? Since you know it, is it the same as a shoe?
Yeah. Yeah, because then you can just pull it undone.
Okay, so that's the only knot I know.
Oh my god, I never even put two and two together.
Another thing other knot I know is how to take the two loops and then tie them together, a double loop.
Yeah.
So that way your shoe doesn't come untied.
Yeah.
Do you ever use that part of it in quilting?
No.
No.
Just the knot.
All right. You do not use that.
I do not use that knot. Yeah. No, knots aren't, you gotta tie knots, but they're not like...
It's not like sailing a boat where you gotta know 20 different freaking...
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's fair.
No.
I know my dad knows a lot of knots. Him and Amy.
Well, because they sailed. They were trying to sail across the world.
Yeah. So they
needed to know.
My dad was trying to show me before they left.
You were like,
he was
no.
just working them. I was like, Dad, I don't care. I don't care.
Sorry, but I just don't care.
But I love you.
Good luck.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh man, that's a good time. What do you have Do you have like a color scheme that you want to go with? Do you have any plans in your head for what you might want your quilt to look like?
No.
No.
None.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I do know. There's a thing floating in my face. I do know that there is Adobe color palette. What is that called? You've used it?
I've used it, but I can't remember what it's called.
It's a free app on the website. So you just go online, look up, what is it? Adobe Color
Wheel or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I've used it for my web design classes.
And if you guys don't know about it, like I've used it for video and photography stuff, and also creating logos and things. But you put like the color, like maybe there's a specific color you want, a certain kind of blue, and you're like, I want that. Then you say, I want complementary color patterns, and it shows you the other colors that'll go with it, and it'll give you like a nice little palette of the colors, and then you can take those colors and figure out, make something pleasing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's.
And you don't have to just do complementary. There's a bunch of them.
You can do You can do like tertiary colors. You can do secondary colors, like so you can have like a quilt that's all in the same tones, or you can have the complementary, so you've got it kind of all over the color wheel, but like in tones that will complement the one you start from. So it's not like the wrong kind of red or the wrong kind of green.
Right. Which I think a lot of people wouldn't know about.
Yeah.
Do colorblind people quilt? Have you ever met anybody?
I've seen like ways to kind of make sure that your values like of your fabrics are spread out enough, or that you've got enough of like the darker, heavier values versus the lighter values. You take a picture of your fabrics, and this is for non-colorblind people, but you take a picture of your fabrics, how they're laid out, and then you turn them to black and white, and then you can see the spread of the values around. So I would guess you could quilt that way if you were colorblind, because you would just be spreading your values around.
Or maybe you just make your quilts like not colorful, but maybe more black and whitish. And in that, you create your art from that way that pattern would work. Like different shades of... like
grays and blacks and whites.
Yeah. You could totally do it.
Yeah? That's interesting. I never thought about that. Huh. That would be cool, though.
Yeah.
That would be like such a cool thing to see. Yeah.
Thought for you guys out there. You could create that. We're kind of busy, so.
Yeah. That's cool. Do. I don't know what I was going to say.
I don't remember either. So, okay, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Could you send in, like, the hex value or, the ASCII hex value that you could send into, like, a fabric company and say, hey, could you produce this particular color? Is that a thing that can happen?
Well, I think if you were producing fabric on like a large scale, you could, but
yeah, makes sense.
But I think too, if you like pulled up a certain, hex value, the color, and like screenshotted it, there's companies you can get fabric printed through, like your own designs and stuff, and maybe they could, just make the whole fabric that color. And then print it that way. But I don't know. I think to have like fabric manufactured in a certain...
Do you know what I mean by hex value?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, it's like the the like number...
Sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. It's the number that goes with the color, that it's like the value of how much like red and blue and green or yellow.
Okay, well there's different hex ones, but yeah, red, blue, and green, I think, is the three colors that is mostly used. There's also one that includes a yellow, so it's a four color array of numbers. But I'll say it. There's like 0 to 127 for the blue. So 0 would be like basically white. Yeah. And then 127 would be basically black, and then all the shades of blue in between that. And of course, like, if you think about it, there's really just an infinite number of shades of blue. But when you do it this way, like, of course there's notches, but you can't tell. Like, if you looked at 56 and 57, you probably wouldn't be able to see the difference between the two just by your eye.
Yeah.
But they do that for the green and the red as well. And so with a computer or with that sort of process, you can have 128 to the third power number of colors at your fingertips. So
This many.
A lot.
So much.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. Super nerdy, but also I am super nerdy.
That's so many colors.
Anyway, I was just curious if you could, like, that way you could, like, curate exactly what colors you want.
Yeah.
To, like, precisely to that Adobe color wheel. Because the Adobe color wheel, when you do that in the program, it actually gives you the hex values. Or if you don't want to use the hex values, it'll give you the actual numbers, like 56 or whatever. But they turn that into a hex number because that's more
accurate.
No, it's more usable for computers.
Oh,
computers can take the hex code and do stuff with it, whereas the number, if you give it the number, it changes it into a hex code and then turns that into bits. And I went too far, didn't I? All right, I'll shut up about that. But but that would be cool. Except I guess mass producing it, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because nobody's really gonna be. I wonder if there's a business for that.
Probably.
All right. Thought for later. Note to self, future self. Look at it. See if it's a thing.
Probably is, but that's cool. Yeah. But also, like, the companies that make solids, they're really good at having a really big range of colors. So you can get close, I think, to what you're hoping for. At least I've been able to. And they'll have, like, 25 different reds and 25 different blues and yellows and
you should be able to find close enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying though, like, instead of being like it's close enough, if you wanted it exactly that color.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, it's close.
If you're a psycho lunatic like myself. Not quite right.
Perfectionist.
Oh, we took this test. You can go online too and take this little color test. I did it at work. Somebody showed it to me because long story, I was on the UI team, which is like the front end, the website. So colors were really important to us.
It means user interface.
So like colors were really important to us. So our whole team took this little test online to see, like, it gives you a value for how well you are or how good you are at seeing the different shades of particular colors. And
you have to put them in order.
Yeah, you have to put them in order. It shows them out of order, and then you've got to put them in order as to how the shade moves across there. I'll try to find it and leave a link in here too. But but I did I'm bragging.
You are,
because that's what
typical Oros.
I did really well at it.
You did.
What I'm just trying.
You
to
did
say.
Really good.
So like, I don't think that necessarily means I'm great or anything. It just means that when I'm looking at colors, sometimes I'm like, that seems a little off.
Yeah.
Whereas other people would just be like, what? It's blue.
You're like, I don't know.
My nose itches, though.
Oh. Yeah, and you did better than me, and then you lorded it over me for a while. You were like, I don't know, since you can't tell colors.
As well as me.
I was like, God.
Divorce.
Yeah. Rude.
All right.
Just kidding.
Anyway, enough about colors, right?
I mean, sure.
We can keep talking about colors.
No, it's great. I just think...
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color, well, I have a hard time picking from blue, green, and purple. I know.
I have a hard time picking between 128 to the third power of different colors. I don't know which one I like the most.
Well, I think probably... I don't know. I can't say. I'm like, I want to say I lean more towards greens, but I don't. Like...
I thought you did. I thought that was your...
Well, I picked...
Your jam.
I do. I love green. I love green.
Especially like peacock green. I know that's like not really... I think of peacocks whenever I think of the colors you like. Whatever those colors are.
100%.
Okay.
That's like why we had peacock feathers at our wedding, and that's why our colors were purple and green, and...
That's why we subscribe to the Peacock channel.
Why we...
Wait, no, that's not right.
What? Yeah. So, yeah.
We did that so we could watch Resident Alien.
Yes.
And what's the other show?
Yellowstone.
If you haven't seen that, holy moly.
Hectic.
Well, there's a lot of killing and a lot of cussing, so if you're not into that,
stay away. But also, it's so good. Yeah, I love the cool color palette. So that part of the color wheel is my favorite. I'm not such a fan of like reds and oranges.
Okay.
They obviously have their place, and there's beauty there, and that's fine. But I don't go for that. Like, I'm not gonna go choose red over something that I could get that's green or blue.
I see.
Or purple.
Okay.
But yeah, cooler colors are my jam, and a lot of my quilts have that in them. But that also varies. I mean, if I like a line of fabric, then even if it has the colors in it that I don't like, I still use them because I don't not like them. They're just
not your favorite.
Not my favorite. No. So
fair.
Yeah, I'm not elitist when it comes to picking colors.
A color elitist.
I mean, I guess.
Oh my god, is that mauve?
Ugh. But you love blue.
Blue and
purple.
Like a deep purple. I wouldn't want to put it on my anything really, but
you're just looking at it.
I can like a well, they call them black lights, but they're basically dark, deep purple.
Yeah.
I can just I don't know. So much comfort in that wavelength of light. I love it.
That's so pretty.
I don't know why.
It's so pretty. Like the Christmas lights that are that purple.
Oh, the ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're always like, oh!
I feel like, what are the bugs that they go to the lights? What are those bugs? Moths. I feel like a moth. Every time I see that color, I'm like, oh.
Like, don't look at the light. You're like, I can't help it. Like in Bug's Life.
Bug's Life. Oh, yeah.
It's like,
that's hilarious.
Don't look at the light. Like, I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Literally.
Yeah, you are mesmerized by it.
I am.
Purple. That's good, because purple jives, blue jives. Like
jives?
Our colors.
Is there a new definition for the word jives now? I don't know about.
No, it just means they go together.
Oh, they go together.
They work really well together. They flow.
That's what jive means?
Yes. That's how I'm using it in this moment.
I like my jive comes from the 70s with
I know.
Like that movie Airplane.
But we're not talking about that.
No. Cut.
Yikes.
Alright.
Cool.
What else did we talk about? Or what?
I think that was really it.
Okay. So if I accidentally leave this in, the reason why I just said what did we talk about is because we talked for a good 10 minutes?
10 minutes. But the camera was off.
The camera was off and it shut off. So
rude.
It was a good conversation too.
It was really good. So we're like, what did we talk about? Yeah. Oh, we did talk about. I think I was saying you went back to what you thought about quilting before I started quilting, and you were saying it was granny kind of brown fabrics, like the old calicos, and then the ones you had seen were kind of tattered and lumpy and not really in well repair, but and then I said you said something about it being accessible.
Well, yeah, okay, so I think the thing that kind of pulled me around to the quilting was the stuff that you and your mom and your friends all put together, because it's so gorgeous. All that. Look at that thing; it's beautiful. And in the quilt you made me, gorgeous. So I guess it sort of brought me around and thought, well, this is a great way for more people to be able to express themselves through this art process that is fairly accessible, right? You might need a sewing machine. The long arm part is not necessarily accessible, but
you don't have to long arm your quilts. People they quilt their quilts on their domestic sewing machines all the time.
It sounds like it'd be rough.
Yeah, but they do it. It happens.
So okay, so the whole process. Once you've learned the process, you can. It seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like you can fairly easily express, what you're feeling and thinking, or what you want to put out in the world. You can create it and show it fairly easily, as opposed to I don't know, some new wave artist, painter or something. Painting, that. There's a lot of things there that you have to learn in order to make that truly work. Like you give me a paintbrush and tell me to paint something, it's going to be a stick figure with long hair and
yeah,
stupid hands, and like it's not going to look anything like a real painter would paint.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that I could probably put a quilt together the first time and make it look reasonably okay and exactly what I wanted it to look like. So
yeah.
That's what I mean by accessible.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's my passion about doing this show and like doing what I do with quilting is bringing more people into it. I think I've talked to some people who've had some really bad experiences with, you know, an older generation of quilters who didn't want their stuff to be accessible to the younger generations because they think it's being ruined by modern quilting. But I think the way that we're going to keep quilting in relevance is by modernizing it and bringing new techniques and new ideas to the table, making, you know, fast, easy finish quilts, because not every, you know, I think people are a lot busier. There's a lot more expectation on people in, you know, this generation, mine and younger. And so there's a lot more distraction. And so I think if we're going to keep it alive, we have to be willing to be flexible with how things are now. And
and open and encouraging to
right.
to experiment with the whole process.
Right.
Like that art quilter girl, lady, Amy.
Amy Carter.
Like some of the stuff she put together is, I mean, it's definitely unique. I know there's
So
other people that do it, but
right, but her stuff is unique to her and what she wants to do, and she's not afraid to experiment with texture and color and different mediums. And I think with modern quilting, you know, we've got designers out there making fabrics for themselves because it's what they want to quilt with, and then there just happens to be a lot of people who also feel the same way about that fabric and those colors and those prints, and we want to express ourselves with that too. And so I think
seems like that's the part that you really fall in love with, is that you can, I don't know, what is it that you love the most about it?
Well, first of all,
I'm interviewing her now.
Hey! It's fine, we're interviewing each other.
Wait, I'm trying to like let you get me excited about it.
Because you're just like, I don't like it. Stop talking to me about it.
No, I do want to.
I know.
I do.
I know you do. I think expressing myself, being able to create things that I want in my home that are going to bring me comfort, or that I can share myself with, share myself with someone else by gifting quilts, like making that giant flannel and minky quilt for you was such a labor of love. I was so excited to make it because it was going to be the coziest thing in the world, and it's huge. It's almost a king size. And just being excited to know that, like, I made something for us that we can cuddle up in for the rest of our lives. And like, but that you can wrap up in it and feel how much I love you in it. And I think,
you know what it reminds me of, and I think I'm just now getting the words for this, but all this time, for whatever, a few years, I haven't really been able to place it, but because I picked the bass back up, I started remembering aspects of, like, if I'm learning some other band's song,
right,
when I'm playing it and I'm learning it, I almost feel like I'm there with those people. Not, I know I'm not, but
right.
Just interacting with that creative side of what they're doing.
Right.
I've been involved in the process with them of enjoying playing that music together, and then doing it with the bands that I've played with.
Yeah.
And the memories and the experiences all tied up in playing that music with them has sort of left an impression or a place in my heart, in my mind, in my soul of that experience.
Yeah.
And almost all of it was fun. Yeah. I don't remember it ever not being fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like that immersiveness into it. So like when you create a quilt, there's this whole experience around making the quilt. And there's a whole experience around giving the quilt. And then that person's experience with the quilt through their life. Like, that really brings to life something from within that other people get to imprint their life with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know it's really, really weird and spiritual, but I can see it. I can see it.
But that's exactly it. I think it's that idea that, like, I've created this thing, but now when I gift it or give it away, it gets to have a life of its own with the person that it belongs to now. Like, they get to, like, I've imbued it with love and you know, my heart, and now that person gets to make that quilt a part of their life and continue loving it and sharing.
Hopefully.
Hopefully
they don't burn it.
No. And, like, sharing it with their family themselves, like, you know, wrapping up their kids. You know, when I make a baby quilt, it's like, yeah, wrap your baby in that thing. I don't care if they barf on it. I would rather see a quilt that I made be used, stained, like that it's being loved. I would rather see that than see it tucked away on a shelf. Like, that breaks my heart to think of it just, like, hidden away.
We have some tucked away.
No, they're all out.
They're all out.
Every single quilt we have is out for use.
Our quilts are out, people. You heard
they're
it here
on beds,
first.
they're on the couch, they're out in the living room for use. One is hanging on the wall, but those get switched out and come down into circulation for use.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the other part that I think kind of sold me on the concept of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're building, you're kind of like putting yourself, your experience, your love, your life into this object.
Yeah.
And then that object is going to other people most of the time, and they're getting some of that, whether they even really know or understand it that way.
Yeah.
It's still there.
And I think the fun part, well, not the fun part, but one of the fun parts is, like, getting to show them how you see them by like the fabrics you choose and the pattern, and like this made me think of you. And so then it's kind of like me showing them, or, you know, you showing that person how they show up in your head. Like, this is what I think of you in a good way, right? Hopefully, you know, hopefully they love it just as much as you do. But it's like, I just think about that when I'm making a baby quilt for a friend right now, but I also want her to see herself in it, because that baby's not just its own individual self, which it is, or will be, but, you know, that baby came from her, and she's one of my dearest friends, and I love her, and so I want her to see that in that quilt as well, when she's letting her baby lay on it and spit up on it and maybe have a poopy blowout, but it won't matter, because I want her to use that quilt and know that I love her, and because I love her baby, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Are we too spiritual? Are we too mystical right now, guys?
Tell me the very first thing that we have to do, even though I realize I'm editing your beginner series, but
I know.
But just tell me, what's the very first thing that I need to do so that we can get started?
Well, I think very first, before we sew on a pattern or pick a pattern, like, I need to just show you how the sewing machine works.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But it's super easy.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that needs to be the first step, just so you know, like, okay, this is where the seam allowance is, this is how you figure it out, this is how you sew, this is how you did it out. Like, it's easy, but I think that is a skill you need to have before you can sew anything.
Okay.
But then we need to pick your pattern first, because that is what everything else hinges on.
Right.
We have to know how much fabric to buy, what fabric to buy. We have to know how to cut it. We have to know how we're piecing it, what we're putting together.
Okay.
So really picking a pattern.
So it's good we're talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, pattern is everything. If you don't have a pattern, then you don't have a quilt.
Can I have Miki on the back, or is that hard to start with?
No, it's easy.
I also happen to be a huge fan of it because of how soft.
I know.
Love it.
That's why I put it on your quilt. And on every quilt. I only have like 3.
I don't even think you should make a quilt without it, but I'm
know.
sure there's reasons. I've seen, obviously there's reasons for it, but...
Yeah, I have like 3 quilts that don't have Minky on it. This one behind us doesn't have Minky on it. It's fine. It's because when I bought the fabric, I had already bought the fabric, like the yardage for the backing. But it's fine. I guess. Just kidding, I love it. Yeah, so pattern is important. Yes, you can put Minky on your quilt. We have so much.
Is that harder to work with though?
No.
Okay.
I honestly, it's kind of slippery if you have to piece it together, but we have the 90-inch wide, so we don't have to do that. Also, I think it's easier because it has some stretch to it, so it's easier to get it like laying flat so it doesn't wrinkle up on the back of your quilt.
Okay.
Where sometimes cotton can do that if you're not,
I see.
if it's not tight enough on the rollers and when you're quilting it. But yeah.
Okay.
I just love it. It's really not that hard to work with. People complain because it makes a mess when you cut it, but that's what we have a vacuum in the sewing room for. Once we cut it, we just like vacuum the edges and clean it up, and then it's fine.
Okay, we'll put some Minky on it then.
Yay!
Minky.
Oh, all right. Do you want to answer the rapid fire question?
Yeah, let's do that. Rapid fire.
Okay. Do you sew over pins?
No. I don't know yet.
Do you press your seams open or to the side?
Clearly, I don't know that either. This seems rather worthless right now.
I know, it's so funny. Okay, do you trim your threads off the back?
Absolutely. Like, who
should.
wouldn't?
You should.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Yeah?
Okay, yeah, just stick with that.
I would never not.
Do you square your blocks before you sew them all together?
I'm hoping to not use squares, so
okay.
I don't even know what it means.
It just means making sure that they are, it doesn't even have to be square, it just means like getting it to be the dimensions it's supposed to be. So once you sew the pieces together...
That seems like you totally have to.
Yeah.
Like, why would you ask that question?
Because...
Are there people that are like, no?
Sometimes you don't, and then your seams get off and it looks silly.
I don't even see any problems.
See this whole
now
row?
I do.
Yeah, it's fine. That was only my second quilt.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, that's fair. I guess I'll probably maybe we'll come back on those questions.
Oh, we're gonna have to.
And then I'll be like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
That was it.
Great.
That was all I had for you today. I'm just really excited to teach you how to quilt, and I'm really excited that we finally got so many followers. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for listening to my wife. I like listening to her too.
Sometimes
until she goes on a tangent. Oh, I do it too.
It's fine. Yeah, but really, seriously, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for making this dream of mine come true. I hope you guys stick around so that you see the process of Abe learning how to quilt. We'll make that a video. I don't think it'll be a podcast episode, but it will be on the YouTube. So
I think what I have in mind for that, and this is subject to change, but updates. Like the parts that we go through it, I will record parts of it.
Sure.
And then upload it as an update, and then so that it'll take a while. It might take a couple months for me to get through this entire process. Honestly, there's a lot going on. So
but we'll do updates so you guys can see his progress, and then but it'll definitely be on YouTube so you can see what's happening and the pattern he picks and the fabrics we choose and me teaching him how to sew in the first place. It's gonna be great. But
we won't leave out arguments because we want to see if.
Yeah.
I don't think we will.
No, it'll be fine. Well, I think because we're both teachers, we'll have a okay time with it.
Yeah.
We can go in teacher mode and be in learning mode, and I think when we're trying to like do the same activity together,
that maybe we don't really know well enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes that. Like, if we don't know the task that we're trying to do, then we seem to step on each other as far as...
Because you have an idea of how it should be done, and I have an idea, and then we kind of cross hairs. But I think because I'm the knowledgeable one in this, and I am teaching it to you...
It's a lot easier for me to get into humble mode of just, like, okay, I'm teachable, show me how to do this.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that that's...
What happens, though, if I don't know how to do it? Like, you show me, and I still can't fucking... do it.
I'll just be patient with you. I know there's so many things that it took me so many tries and just messing up.
Patience.
Patience, yeah.
Patience is the answer. I think that
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some.
Yeah, and be patient with yourself because I think, yeah, like I said, there's things that skills that took me a lot of messing up a million times until I finally feel like, okay, now I know what to do with this. So I think it just gets better every
Patience
time.
with myself, patience with you, and you patience with me. We should get there.
Yeah,
Okay.
just patience.
Do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I love you.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I love you too.
It was fun. Okay.
All right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Once upon a time, there was a frog, and he was a wide-mouthed frog. Yeah, and he was hopping along in the forest one day, just and he came to a rabbit, and he said, "Hi, Mr. Rabbit. What do you like to eat?" And the rabbit said, "Well, I like to eat carrots." And the wide-mouthed frog said, "Oh, really? That's neat." So he went hopping along and in the forest he came across a camel. He said, "Hi, Mr. Camel. Let's forget that you're in the forest and just ask you, what do you like to eat?" And the camel says, "I like to eat straw." And the wide-mouthed frog said, "Oh, really? That's neat." And so the wide-mouthed frog went hopping through the forest, and he came across a snake. And he said, "Hi, Mr. Snake. What do you like to eat?" And he said, "I like to eat wide-mouthed frogs." And the wide-mouthed frog said, "Oh, really?" "Oh, really?"